Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all again. It's been a year. I'm glad to be back. My name is Sean Ferrer. I'm the culturally woke Republican. These are going to be the new episodes of 2022. Just to give you a little recap, I put my podcast on hold for about a year. Politics got a little crazy. We have a lot to talk about of what's going on with this administration, political aspects of policy across the country, as well as policy around the world. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to hit. There's going to be a lot of sore points that, if you're new to my podcast, you're probably going to be a little bit like, whoa. I originally started this podcast in Florida, and now I'm continuing here in the great state of Texas. But as I said, I will be as factual and punctual with my information as possible. Everything that I've learned is through news portals that are not usual. MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, The View, and countless others will not be factualized here on this podcast. Most of my news comes from conservative outlets around the country, as well as one that I promote as majorly as possible, which is the Daily Wire. If you're not a subscriber, I suggest you get a subscription now. If you want to get great, outstanding content without the woke, and also get some really funny commentators as well. I appreciate any types of subscriptions, likes, or comments to my videos. Please hit me up in the comment section. I will answer everything that I can as promptly as possible. Thank you very much, and this is my intro. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Culturally Woke Republican. My name is Sean Ferrer. I will be your host. This is episode 1 of 2022. Let's get right into politics. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the war in Ukraine. This has been a really hot topic as of the last couple of months. I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with it. You hear about it every single day on every single news portal that's out there, including mainstream media, although who knows what they're actually reporting. Most of it's usually made up. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the whole entire strategy of Putin and why he's in this. Okay. Now, as far as the aspect of this administration and what its hand has been in this war, okay, we have to go back to Donald Trump. Okay. And matter of fact, we have to go back a few presidents before that. Okay, in order to understand why Putin did what he did and why he's going forward with what he's doing. Okay, the first thing is, when we've had strong presidents, Putin never made a move. Okay, when we had weak presidents, Putin did what he wanted. Reason for that is for the simple fact that he knew that the sanctions that were going to come across him were not going to be put on him in time to actually stop him or stop his pursuit of what he wanted in the future. Okay, that being said, let's take on the aspect of Donald Trump being president and being elected to president in 2016. Okay, now, Donald Trump, whatever you want to say about the man, okay, honestly, if you really want to get a little comical, I would love a mean tweet and $1.90 gas right now. That'd be outstanding. But let's put all that aside. And don't worry, Twitter, we're going to get to you too. Donald Trump had an aspect to him where he was unpredictable. Okay, most of what he said, people took with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you just never knew what was really going on in the man's head. And that's what kept his enemies on their toes. They decided that going and making a move, such as Russia invading Ukraine, would probably be very bad for Russia, for the simple fact that Donald Trump would probably react with sustained force. Not to mention the amount of sanctions that would be brought against Russia in the future of invading Ukraine would have been detrimental to its country's economy, as well as the oligarchs that run most of its country. Now, that being said, now we have a different administration. Okay, Putin never made a move on Donald Trump because he knew that wasn't going to work out for him. But to make a move on Joe Biden, he's really not too worried. Okay, not to mention the sanctions that were brought against Russia. Yes, now they are detrimental to his economy, but they could have been brought probably about 6 months earlier, 4 months before he ever invaded Ukraine, because we had already known that that's what he planned on doing. Were they brought against him? No, because the Biden administration, from what we've already, established between the Hunter Biden laptop and different aspects of the media and playing around with this, that, and the other thing, we've already figured out that Joe Biden has his hand in the cookie jar somewhere over there. Does that make him a bad president? Not that part. There's many, many aspects that do, but not that part. Now, that being said, what is Putin's overriding goal right now? What is it that he wants out of Ukraine? Okay, well, from what his aspect of it is, he says, okay, that he wants to basically eliminate the scourge of neo-Nazism in Ukraine. Now, not saying that this is, a bad thing, which it's not. Okay, I don't believe in Nazis. I don't believe that they're a good portion of the world, and therefore I really don't care if they die tomorrow or not. It really doesn't matter. White supremacy, it's a no-win situation regardless. And I don't care whether it's white supremacy, black supremacy, brown supremacy, Chinese supremacy, Japanese supremacy, Arab supremacy. I don't care what it is. If you're trying to be supreme over all races or a singular race, you're not on a winning side. Now, Putin at this point has gone so far into this, and his country's economy has crumbled so far, that there is no way for him to pull out of this war without actually trying to take specific parts of Ukraine, whether that's northern Ukraine, whether that's eastern Ukraine, whether that's southern Ukraine. Will he actually get to western Ukraine? Probably not. That right there is my wife, Brooke, in the back. Say hi, honey. Isn't she great? Now, as I stated, do I believe that he can take West Ukraine? Not the way it's going right now. He did try to invade Kiev, one of their main capitals, if not the capital. I'm not really too sure about the capital of Ukraine. I'm sorry. I haven't really studied that portion of geography. But I know it's a major city, and he did try to take it for quite some time, losing thousands of forces, which, just tells me right off the rip, like I said, Putin's so far in at this point, if he pulls out, he loses on all fronts. He loses in the economy. He loses in the, the patriotism of his peers. He loses in the eyes of the world. So I think at this point, he's holding out basically to ruffle off sanctions with Ukraine, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, in order to get certain, I can't even pronounce that word, but get something out of it as the aspect of certain regions of Ukraine that he's just going to kind of chisel off, which is something that he's done to other countries in the past. So, on the aspect of that war, my personal opinion, okay, is the idea that I have no problem with the United States helping Ukraine fight off an enforcer that invaded their lands. That being said, even as a conservative, I do not believe that American boots should be on the ground in Ukraine. I do not believe that that's our war. Now, we can give aid to the Ukrainian people, and I believe so far they're doing an outstanding job, seeing as how Russia is one hell of a superpower going up against them at the moment. Or they used to be a superpower, now they're a second-class power, but there's still the amount of military, against each other is just impeccable. And the Ukrainians are still holding on. Now we're into, I think, the third month that they've been at war with Russia. Now, the one thing I did want to touch on in this one segment of the war is, as of recent publications, now you're starting to hear forms of war crimes. Now, when I started to hear things of war crimes, that Russia was committing war crimes, was I surprised? No. Russia's whole entire military tactics throughout every war or any conflict that they've been through is they're a hammer, and they see everybody else is a nail. So they figure if they throw enough hammers at that nail, eventually that nail is going to fall, right? Or you're going to hammer it in, right? That's what Russia does. They have no problem with casualties. They will just keep throwing enough men at that location until eventually they get it. The problem with that is it turns out to be, it's unethical. It's just not the way to conduct war. If you ever get a chance to read The Art of War, that would be what you'd want to go by. But, okay, on to our next segment. I did want to talk about, and it's so huge of a news story, which I think, in my eyes, this portion of my show today, this should be self-explanatory. We shouldn't even need to make a bill about this, okay? But the Florida so-called Don't Say Gay bill, wanted to talk on this one, okay? First of all, it has come to my attention that the left has really taken it upon themselves to make it apparent on how angry, it makes them so angry, the word groomer is. Let me explain to you what a groomer is, okay? A groomer is a person that will indoctrinate either children or young adults, could be adolescents, could even be college, okay, into certain ideologies. So therefore, that child or young adult, as they mature, take on those specific ideologies. That's a groomer. A lot of people pertain it to a pedophile, child molester, or something like that. Not always. That's only one little characteristic of the word groomer. Okay, now, first of all, the Florida Don't Say Gay bill never says anything like that. The entire bill is written and documented to state that teachers, public school teachers, okay, in grades kindergarten through 3rd, cannot talk about sexual ideologies in the classroom. When did this become something that we needed clarity on? When I was in school, I remember many of my teachers, I never knew their first names, and nor did I ever know anything of what their personal lives were. I had many teachers, most of them female, but several of them male, as I went to high school and got up in the upper years, many of them college. Okay, I had lots of female and male professors that never told me. I never knew, even in college level, never knew what they did on the weekends, how many kids they had. Half of them I didn't know whether they're married, single, didn't matter. They were there to teach me something. That's why I was there, was to learn. That's really the way it is. You know, when you're in kindergarten and you're a kindergarten teacher, okay, there's no reason whatsoever for you to be telling your kindergartners about transgenderism, about gay rights. Why? These are not sexual beings, first of all. When you're a kindergartner, okay, you don't even comprehend the word sex, nor sexuality, nor genealogy, all of it. None of that. You're thinking about Blue's Clues and Dora. Okay? That's what you're doing. Okay? You're thinking about what color ice cream you want that day because you don't even really know what the flavors are at the moment. I don't understand why this is such an issue, but they're going to keep doubling down on it. They're going to keep going against it. Ron DeSantis, I swear these days, man, you're my hero. Now, that all being said, okay, the craziest part of this, okay, is that woke corporation Disney, which we all knew they went woke. We all knew, we heard about it, the transgender rights and, they were going, helping out these activists and that activists, and basically all this came from was basically like 100 employees out of the thousands of employees that Disney actually employs, like 100 of them that were into this, had this ideology in their head, They were, continuing on this activist narrative. Okay, they brought that corporation to its knees to the point now parents are actually unsubscribing from Disney Plus and many different Disney outlets for the simple fact that it's actually now caught on video by, I believe, the Daily Wire had a hand in this, as well as another publication. And you actually got video from inside one of the boardrooms of one of the head board people talking about their not-so-secret gay agenda and how they plan to basically try to indoctrinate your children by watching their content into transgender and gay ideology. Look, I don't care who you love, or really what you're going to do over there, or what you're going to do over there, okay? I'm an adult. That doesn't really bother me. I understand that there are gay people in the world. I understand there's transgender people in the world. You do realize that the percentage of transgender people in the world has actually jumped, or the percentage of young people identifying as transgender has now jumped 17 points in the last 2 years. 17 percentage points. Now, either there is a serious epidemic in transgender children, just people identifying this way, or this is a cultural thing that the left has injected our young society, and now it is embedded into their brains that this is the only socially acceptable thing that you can be in order to reap the benefits of society. And that's sad. That's sick. And as a conservative, when you start to come after my children with this type of ideology, I'm going to fight back. And that's what's going on with many parents around the world at this point that are fighting back now against Disney. And we're going to keep on the fight on this. Because once you're going after the kids, I'm sorry, man, you crossed too many lines now. We were willing to go along with your little woke agenda there for a little while because we were thinking to ourselves, this is just silly. And you know what? Eventually, maybe they'll come to their senses. But now we've just pushed too many red flags, too many things to look at, too many ideologies and psychosis that we actually now have to look at in our young people's society in order to make sure that they become upstanding and presentable adults, which is what parents like myself actually signed up for in the first place. It's a sad thing. So, if I ever state that somebody on the left is becoming or enhancing their image as a groomer, you can know that I will not feel any pity. Leave your comment in the comments. On to our next section. Ketanji Brown Jackson is the new Supreme Court judge just appointed, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, to the Supreme Court. From my knowledge, she is the first black woman to be nominated to the Supreme Court. I really don't want to go too far into this. Just a couple of interesting little points. Okay. I don't know how many, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know how many confirmations you've seen for Supreme Court justice. I've seen, I think 3. Recent. Last few years. Ketanji Brown Jackson was asked questions about her judicial record. She was also asked one main question that a very honorable person that I'd really love to watch all the time is asking all around America and all around the world. She was asked the question of what is a woman, and she couldn't give that answer. I just want to state a couple of qualifications that Ketanji Brown Jackson has. One, she is a proprietor and a supporter of the 1619 Project, which is absolute bullshit. But she also is a supporter of critical race theory. She's also a supporter of basically most of the radical left. She is the most radical that we've ever appointed to the Supreme Court. On her conviction record, the questions that she was asked, because I'm letting you know right now, this lady really did not have it hard. Okay, I mean, Brett Kavanaugh, basically, I mean, people that had no factual information accused this man of basically he was like a gang rapist or something like that back in college. And all of this was completely unfounded. This man literally was in tears on the stand, okay, at his own confirmation hearings. And, I mean, they went after him as a person. The right went after Ketanji Brown Jackson as, a judge, her conviction records. And it turns out that she's really, really easy on pedophiles. Yeah, apparently she was supposed to give a sentence. I don't really know too much of the criteria, so I'm not going to go too much into the case. But apparently the recommended conviction for this man had hundreds or thousands of pictures of an 8-year-old. Okay, the conviction I think was supposed to be like 10 years or something like that, or, somewhere around there. Pretty good conviction. She gave him 3 months. Her excuse for this, pictures on the internet are so much easily obtained, aside from the way it was back in, say, the 80s, where you actually had to go and look or go take the pictures yourself or anything of that nature. Now it's just so easy to get on the internet and download a whole bunch of pictures from kiddies that the sentence should have been more moderate or more lenient. No, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a pedophile, I think you should be hung. End of story. 10 years to me is too lenient. I think he should have been put away for life, otherwise shot by firing squad. Sounds like that sounds like the proper conviction. But that's what the main questions that were asked to Miss Jackson. And, she tried to throw the race card in there a couple times. She avoided just about every question, just like most justices that get on the Supreme Court. They won't answer specific questions, and there's reasons for that. There's judicial reasons, and then there's also kind of like taboo reasons where you don't really know, but everybody knows. Like I said, do I mind that she's a black woman on the Supreme Court? No, not at all. Do I believe that she's definitely going to be more of the radical left on the Supreme Court? Yes, all day long. There is no doubt in my mind that that's exactly what it's going to be. She says that she's an originalist. That remains to be seen. We'll see in the future. Everybody deserves the benefit of the doubt, I guess. Okay. That's the end of this segment. I do want to give you a couple of little tidbits you probably didn't know. Okay, to this show, there's a friend of ours by the name of Matt Walsh and his sweet baby gang. He's a #1 LGBT plus Q asterisk sign plus sign minus sign ZTW and X, Y, and Z publishing author of Johnny the Walrus. And he is also the man that's going around the world right now asking the question to everybody and anybody, what is a woman? Because it seems that the left doesn't know what a woman is anymore. And I guess, he just went on a long journey to go figure this out. So, if you subscribe to the Daily Wire right now, you can get to find out what Matt found out as an answer to what is a woman. As I've stated before, my podcast promotes and endorses the Daily Wire. If you're not a subscriber, it's real easy. You can be a subscriber literally for $14 a month and get exclusive content along with many educational videos. They're coming out with kid content right now. They have exclusive on-air movies. There's podcasts. There's educational shows, documentaries. Michael Knowles is just got done doing Fauci. You can find out what the real career and life of Dr. Fauci has been. I've already watched it. That was scary. So anyway, on with the show, but go check out the Daily Wire. I'll be right back. It was recently reported in Washington, D.C. that 5 aborted babies were found at a pro-life activist home. I'd like to get into a few details of this. First of all, I'm pro-life all the way. There is criteria in the story that's stating that the DC police are unwilling to perform autopsies on these 5 aborted fetuses or babies. Actually, if I had the footage, I would actually show you the pictures of these children, these babies that were aborted. And from what the looks of certain ones of the injuries, these babies were fully born and then killed after. That's the sick thing about abortion, is a lot of people don't want to talk about the horrible, horrible things that are actually done to commit this act. Nobody wants to hear how the baby's dismembered inside the womb and pulled out piece by piece. How the brains are actually sucked out of the baby's skull and then it's dismembered and pulled out piece by piece. Nobody wants to talk about that because, you don't want to hear that harshness. Why would you want to think about that? Like I said, there are a few things right now with this whole entire case. One is the autopsy thing. Why is it that the DC police or any type of government agent doesn't want to, perform autopsies on these 5 children that were found? But I'll tell you what, the DC police have no problem with going after the pro-life activist that the 5 babies were found in her house, and stating that they want to press charges or accuse her of tampering with fetuses. Oh yeah, they have no problem with going after her. But why aren't we going after the abortion clinic where these babies were taken from? Because we already have the trail from where they came from to the truck driver of the waste disposal, and then we even know where the waste disposal truck was supposed to go, which is a friggin' power plant. So basically, from what we've gathered so far, is that the idea that there's a power plant that sends a waste disposal unit to abortion clinics and then takes their remains and burns them for fuel for energy, I'm assuming. If that doesn't make you sick enough. The idea that they don't even want to investigate this. Like, their souls are not even intact anymore. They wouldn't even want to investigate something like this. Even with all the factual information put in front of you. Let's take opinion out of this. Okay? All the factual information and evidence sitting right in front of you. You don't want to investigate this? This is what, beneath your pay grade? Because last time I checked, I thought DC police actually they get paid pretty decent wages. I mean, they are in Washington, D.C. It is the capital of the United States. You know what I mean? And, it's like the White House is there. You would think that these guys probably get paid a decent amount, even though literally the crime in D.C. is through the roof. You wonder why. If they're not willing to investigate this, how many other things are they not willing to investigate? I mean, you hear the murder rate in D.C. just keeps going up and up and up. I mean, kind of makes you wonder, But, I ultimately like to say that this is what happens when you come up with slogans that say defund the police. This is what happens when you do criminal reform. Yeah, sure, let's let the guy that just killed his sister out of jail on bond for the next 3 months until his hearing comes up. What's the worst that could happen? That being said, I am going to end this show on a lighter note. In my next segment, we're going to get to talk about billionaire and extraordinaire, Mr. Elon Musk, and the interesting things that he's coming up with right now. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back. As I stated, I do want to talk about Elon Musk. I'm so proud of this man. He has definitely become another one of my heroes. If I could only have 1% of his money, that would be great. But on a lighter note, Elon Musk, as of recent, just bought 9% of Twitter. That is $2.89 billion with a B. Big dollar, big money sign. A lot of money there. Okay, what I thought was funny is the frantic confusion that went on in Twitter and the resignations that people started to put in over at Twitter. Okay, once Elon got appointed to the board. Elon Musk, well, I'm sure you know who he is. He's the owner of SpaceX. He's also the owner of Tesla, as well as, so many different marketing aspects. I mean, the man is diversified out the ass. So, that being said, who knows what he actually owns? I'm sure you could probably look that up on the internet. I don't really have time for that. What I think is funny is, like I said, the fire that is put underneath employees at Twitter's ass right now. These people are scared because they know that their big tech oligarchs aren't going to be able to save them any longer when they try to censor free speech. They know that day is coming to an end now. Okay, and they're updating their resumes, which I think is a great thing. To me, I believe in free speech. I believe in, speech is not violence. There's no such thing as speech is violence. Words do not hurt you. Yeah, of course they're going to hurt your feelings, but if I'm spitting factual information at you and you can't handle that, facts don't care about your feelings. Doesn't matter to me. Okay, that being said, Elon recently put a poll out on Twitter stating whether he should take Twitter headquarters in San Francisco and turn it into a homeless shelter. Reason for this is because so many people in that place work from home now. Nobody shows up. Out of this poll, 91% of people actually voted yes, which I think is quite hysterical, and I think I want to see this happen. I really want to see something like this happen. I believe that it would definitely prove to at least our nation how ridiculous the left is, and especially in big tech, Silicon Valley. These people feel that they run everything, and the reason why is because they run a good portion of the flow of information. Okay, you're probably watching this podcast on YouTube. If I say something that's incorrect, YouTube will flag me. They'll censor me. They'll tell me I, can't even post the whole entire video. Okay, so I have to be very careful on how I explain things and what I say. Now, as of late, Elon also recently just introduced his newest factory for Tesla here in Texas. Yes, I'm in the Houston area in Texas now. I'm very proud of this. I think it's great on the idea that, Elon's not stupid. He picked Texas for one. It's a very conservative red state. And then two, we don't have any state tax. So, good move. Smart, idea as far as investment. He knows he's going to sell a bunch of cars. Trust me. That being said, that's bringing me to the end of this episode. If you liked what you heard, push a like button, subscribe. You know what I mean? Give me a shout out there. It's, it's not easy to edit all these videos, and it's not easy to, put all this information together. I love what I do. That's the reason why I do it. That being said, my commitment to anyone who views my podcast is this. I commit at least 3 shows a week. I will update you on all political news, as well as cultural news. Things that the mass media will not tell you about. And the reason why is because it doesn't fit their narrative. I choose to do this because I believe that proper information is a whole lot better than just mass information. If you know the facts about specific stories, well then when all the cannon fodder comes out from MSNBC and CNN, you can see through all that and you can actually have a better opinion or a better view on what's actually going on in the world and around you on a daily basis. Most of the subjects that I just spoke about in this podcast are happening in this country on a daily basis, everywhere. And, sadly enough, it's going to be up to, people like me and you that are going to have to fight the cultural fight in order to make this country as good as it once was. I love this country. I'll stand for it any day of the week. And, generations of my family have. That being said, I'm standing for it these days for our future generations. So therefore, they do not have to suffer the woke ideology that's trying to be brought down on top of it. And with that, I bid you guys adieu. Until next show, be good.